Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the Mnuchin personal slush fund. Woohoo! This guy's got it made. Mnuchin on the march. Here we go. Right to it. Hey, Richest, you money maniacs, welcome back. Tom coming at you. In this video, I want to talk about how wonderful it must be to be Mnuchin. You don't know who Mnuchin is? My goodness, he works for the U.S. Treasury. He's very important. You should know this man. Who do you think? What? Don't you know who I am? Everyone knows who he is. Why is that? Well, it wouldn't have anything to do with the fact that he's super rich now on a government employee salary. Pretty suspicious. So here's what I'm talking about. Remember that big CARES Act that got signed back in March to save American businesses? We're going to go into debt for the next 1,200 years. Our great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren are going to pay this debt forever. Just so that we can save businesses now. Let's do it. Yeah, it's for the country. So they signed the money into existence. They just printed it out of nothing, right? And then sent it to businesses all over the country. Wrong. You fell for it again. You actually believed that elected officials were going to do what they said they were going to do. I got you. That was funny. Okay, so let's go to this article, shall we? Here it is. Wall Street on parade. 75%. That's 3/4 for you kids out there that don't know what that means. 75% of the $454 billion CARES Act money never went to the Fed. It was invested by a Mnuchin slush fund called the ESF. Ooh, the ESF. It sounds official when you give it initials like that. Sort of like CIA or FBI or UFO. Ooh, yeah. Official. The CARES Act was signed into law on March 27th. Congress earmarked $454 billion of that stimulus money to be distributed by the Treasury to the Federal Reserve to be used for emergency lending programs to save businesses and jobs during the pandemic and keep credit flowing to the U.S. economy. The catch was that the Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, would have to give his approval for each of the programs. Since June, Wall Street on Parade has been reporting that 340 of the $454 billion that Mnuchin was instructed to turn over to the Fed was unaccounted for. We noted that 98,000 businesses had permanently closed in the U.S. while this money intended for economic relief went missing. Keep in mind that this is an older article, just so you know. So that 98,000 businesses has exploded. Okay, back to the article. On November 19th, Mnuchin publicly issued a letter to the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, making it sound like most of the CARES Act money had been sitting idly at the Fed, and Mnuchin was demanding it back to put it to better use. That's really good of him to go after the Fed and get that money back, isn't it? Adding to our conviction that Mnuchin was intentionally misleading the public, Bloomberg News published an article on Tuesday about the funds that Mnuchin planned to claw back from the Fed. The Bloomberg article carried this sentence: the money in question includes $429 billion that Mnuchin is clawing back from the Fed, which backed some of the central bank's emergency lending facility. Isn't it interesting that they said clawing? He's working so aggressively. He's fighting the Fed to get your tax dollars back and out to the businesses that need it. Good for him. Way to go, Mnuchin. But for months now, the Federal Reserve's weekly financial statement, known as the H41, has indicated that all the Fed received from the Treasury for its emergency lending facilities was $114 billion, leaving $340 billion unaccounted for. You know, something that they don't cover in this was that part of that deal was also that Mnuchin did not have to disclose where the money went to. That was part of the deal. It's curious that they got this much information. Wall Street on Parade has has repeatedly asked the press office of the U.S. Treasury to explain this discrepancy. It has refused to answer our inquiries. We have repeatedly asked the Fed's press office to explain this discrepancy, and it has directed us to its official financial statements, which show it has received just $114 billion from the Treasury for its emergency lending programs. This morning, we located the missing funds on our own with no help from the Treasury's press office that is paid by American taxpayers to keep the public informed. They did that. They went there. Well, good for them. Tens of billions of dollars of CARE Act money has been put to very strange use by Mnuchin in a slush fund called the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which states that it gives the U.S. Treasury Secretary, quote, considerable discretion in the use of ESF resources, end quote. Notice that they don't just call it what it is, currency. It's resources. So it sounds like he's moving dirt around to make a building, or he's doing something official, right? Well, it's resources, and so they called it resources. It must be official. We located the financial statement for the Exchange Stabilization Fund, and they confirmed that all the Treasury has given the Fed for its emergency lending facilities was the same $114 billion that the Fed has been reporting on its financial statements. We compared the Exchange Stabilization Fund's most recent financial statement for September 30th, 2020, to its year-end financial statement for September 30th, 2019. At the end of 2019, the ESF had assets of $93.3 billion. With the money from the CARES Act, that amount had grown to $682 billion by September 3rd, 2020. Here are some of the peculiar line items that show how Mnuchin allocated money meant to save businesses in the U.S. during the pandemic and avoid millions of unnecessary job losses in the United States. $7.5 billion was deposited with official institutions to buy euros, the currency of the European Union. $5 billion was used to buy euro-denominated securities, whether that means stocks or bonds, we can't say. $8.4 billion was deposited with official institutions to buy Japanese yen. $375 million was invested in yen-denominated securities, whether that means stocks or bonds, we can't say. $11 billion was used to buy U.S. government securities. Apparently, the Treasury has its own quantitative easing program in addition to the Fed. Holy cow. $481 billion simply describes itself as fund balance with Treasury. The House Financial Services Committee will hold a hearing with Mnuchin and Powell next Wednesday, December 2nd. Yes, this is an older article. We are forwarding this article to the congressional members of the committee, asking that they get to the bottom of this as they question Mnuchin and Powell. We're not holding our breath. Oh, what a wonderful article. Now, all you money maniacs out there, you must think I am insane. Not only is this old information, but what does it have to do with mastering your own finances? Here's what it has to do with mastering your own finances. Never, 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 ever, ever, never, never trust an elected official. You must hold their feet to the fire constantly. You must demand full transparency for every single dollar. You must sit on top of them constantly because they will mislead you. You must demand the declassification of ridiculous amounts of information that have nothing to do with the security of the nation. You must insist that they start actually honoring their oath of office. And you should also keep in mind that the US dollar is basically collapsing, falling apart, and being printed into oblivion. So get ready for the need to protect yourself with things like laser funds, gold, and silver. That's what you should take away from this. You should take away from this that every time you give an elected official a single dollar, they will put 99.9% of that in their pocket or their friends' pockets. And that one tiny little 1% will probably just sit in an account somewhere. It won't actually go and help anybody. So keep that in mind when you vote and when you decide that you're going to believe anything an elected official says. You better be able to research and back up their voting record and what they actually do, their actions, not their words. That's the lesson of this video for all of you money maniacs out there. So I hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that it opened your eyes to some really serious stuff that's going on in the world right now. You better be ready because it's going to have serious consequences that hit home. Like, will you be able to eat? Will you be able to have a place to live? Will you be able to even have a job? So keep that in mind. While these guys are convincing you that big government's a great idea, they are lining their pockets. They are lining their friends' pockets, and they couldn't give two you-know-whats about you. So, money maniacs, do yourself a favor. Master your finances. Build your wealth. Build your community. Stay honest. Work with integrity and good character. And always, always use the golden rule. You know the golden rule, money maniacs. So, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see more of my insanity. And here's the golden rule for you newbies. He who has the gold makes the rules. So money maniacs, go get that gold.